Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag and talking about the 50 books I've read so far in 2024. For the questions I'm going to be answering today, I've watched a couple different mid-year tags that people have done. Mainly, I took questions from Sarah Caroli's video and Rachel Catherine's video. I kind of pick and chose which questions I liked the best, ones I wanted to talk about the most, but I didn't grab every question that they talked about because some of them I just didn't really feel like I had a good answer for. So I have 17 questions that I put together that I want to chat about today. If you have any other questions that I don't end up getting to, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will be happy to answer them, whatever you guys want to know. First question is, how many books have I read this year? Kind of already spoiled this one at the start of the video, so hopefully this one isn't too much of a surprise, but I've read 50 books this year. I literally just finished my 50th book now. Feeling really good about how this year has gone so far for reading. I've completely refound my passion for it. I don't think I've ever read this much in a singular year before. And I actually didn't start reading until March. So I've been able to read those 50 books in about 4.5 months, and I'm feeling really good. I feel like I found a new favorite genre. I am absolutely obsessed with fantasy. I don't know why I hadn't read much of it before. I was definitely into dystopian books growing up as a kid, so naturally fantasy books make sense for me to be interested in. For some reason, I never gave them a chance, and I have found my new favorite obsession. You will see with a lot of my favorite books, they tend to be fantasy, but it just feels good to be in the swing of reading again, and it feels good to be able to indulge in a hobby. It just makes me happy. I love being in these fantasy worlds with my favorite characters, and I've been having a lot of fun. Question 2, best books I've read so far this year. This one shouldn't be too hard to guess because I've done 2 reading vlogs on this series and it's right next to me, but obviously the ACOTAR series. Specifically, my favorites are first ACOWAR, then ACOMAF, and then A Court of Silver Flames. I thought this was actually a great fantasy series to start off with, coming from someone who had never read fantasy before. I am so incredibly happy I read these books this year. ACOWAR is literally, I think, the best book I've ever read in my life. Continuing on, because obviously everyone knows ACOTAR, let's talk about some other books too. Powerless. I tried to limit how many times I answered Powerless in this tag because almost everything good I could attribute to Powerless. This is a YA fantasy series. Typically, I'm not a YA girly. I'm 24, so typically I feel like I've aged out of YA books. However, I think anyone at any age could enjoy this book. It is so good. Hunger Game vibes meets magical abilities, angsty romance, enemies to lovers, literally everything you could ever ask for is within this book. 2 more that I feel like I have to talk about. One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. However, make it Romeo and Juliet meets present day New York City meets rivaling witch families, and you have one book of perfection. I don't know what else to tell you. Both of these books have such beautiful, poetic, lovely language. I could honestly just highlight pages on end. Absolutely love this book. Definitely want to read more by Olivia Blake in the coming months. Final 5-star that I have to shout out. Unfortunately, don't have a physical copy of that, but don't worry, that is going to be remedied here soon. The Fake Out by Stephanie Archer. Who knew a hockey romance could do such things to me? Rory Miller, no words. This man is perfection. Complete golden retriever, black cat energy coming from our couple. I loved their banter. They were such a cute couple. The first hockey romance I read this year was actually within the same series. It's called the Vancouver Storm series. The first book is called Behind the Net. In all honesty, I really didn't vibe with Behind the Net, so I didn't have high hopes going into the Fake Out. Don't give up on these characters. It only gets better with time. I would still recommend reading the first book before you get to the Fake Out because I do think the author does a really good job of setting up Rory's character within Behind the Net. But if you are at all interested in some spicy hockey romance, read the Fake Out and then thank me later. Third question, I'm not going to stay on this one long because my answers have already been thoroughly discussed, but best sequel you've read so far this year. Going back to the ACOTAR series, book 2 is A Court of Mist and Fury. This is actually the best sequel I've read so far this year. Feyre's character development from book 1 to book 2 is iconic. Her love interest, I thought this book was going to be #1 best book I've read so far this year because it was so good. But then I read book 3 and this series only gets better with time. But also for best sequel, I have to also do the Fake Out. Everything that I just said in the last question still stands. Book 1 was a disappointment. Book 2 hit so hard. I'll leave it at that so I'm not too repetitive, but please guys, please, if you haven't read these books, you must. Fourth question for the actual biggest surprise. I know, I tried to pick something else, but literally this was the biggest surprise of the year, Powerless. Like I mentioned in a previous question, this being a YA fantasy, I really didn't have high hopes for this at all. I thought it was gonna be cheesy, I thought it was gonna be corny. None of that was the case. I ate up every single page of this book. Most pleasant surprise of the year was definitely Powerless. Next question is, how many 5-star reads have you had this year? Shockingly, I've already had 9, and I feel like I'm a really harsh rater whenever it comes to books, because 5 stars for me have to have a magical feeling that comes from within. You can't just have really good writing. I have to feel it and already want to reread it for me to give it a 5 stars, but we've had 9 this year. Let's start from the beginning. The first 5-star I had this year is actually at the bottom of this stack, so I will not be fishing it out, but let me hold this up. I don't know how well you can see that, but at the very bottom is Becoming by Michelle Obama. This is Michelle Obama's memoir that came out in, I think, 2018. I got the book originally back in 2018. Tried to read it, wasn't into it. I don't know what changed, but literally I laughed, I cried. I was so happy, so sad, so angry while reading this book. Michelle Obama is an amazing writer. I felt so connected to her by the end of this book. Everything that she accomplished throughout her life, even before meeting Barack, I think she's an absolute queen. Lord help me. The second 5-star read of this year was another self-help, and it's also at the bottom of this pile. Okay. This is the Leaning Tower of Pisa right now. Okay. The second 5-star read for 2024 was The Gifts of Imperfections by Brene Brown. I love a self-help book. There was a solid 2 years where I only read self-help books. Wouldn't necessarily recommend that because I did totally burn myself out, but I love a self-help book. This is my year of getting back into them. This book is really geared towards the perfectionists out there. Raise your hand if you're one of them. Yep, me too. Brene Brown is a longtime researcher. Why can't I say that word? Researcher of shame. And in this book, she connects how shame leads to being a perfectionist and how to rewrite that story in your brain. She helps you break it down in a lovely, short and sweet book. Literally like 126 pages. You could absolutely read this in a day, if not 2. This is something that I want to read throughout the years to come. I think this would be a great yearly read. Absolutely loved everything she had to say. Next 5-star reads, we will run through these quickly. 3 and 4, moving on. What is with me and putting all my 5-star reads at the bottom? Okay, next 5-star read, very bottom here, Beach Read by Emily Henry. Love that. Okay, well, I guess that's my sign to actually pull it out. Okay, and give me a minute here. Beach Read just really wanted to make herself known. Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is my second Emily Henry book. This one really hits some emotional subplots within the story. We follow 2 neighboring authors who are both battling writer's block, and they both team up to help themselves get out of these. And they write 2 books in the style of the other person. And there are laughs and tears and love along the way. Absolutely love this one. Cannot wait to read more by Emily Henry. Number 6, no surprise to anyone, The Fake Out. Number 7, A Court of Silver Flames. Number 8, Powerless. Number 9, One for My Enemy. Switching up the vibes here so you guys don't get bored. Let's talk about some bad books, because I've been talking about some good books for a while. Let's talk about DNFs and disappointments of the year. DNFs, for anyone unaware, is a did not finish. For me, that means the book was so bad that I literally couldn't subject myself to the entire thing. Our 2 DNFs of the year, Untamed by Glennon Doyle and Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. Both of these are self-help books. Both of these I wouldn't recommend. I was probably a little extra harsh on Untamed because I read this shortly after Michelle Obama's book. So this book was really getting compared to top tier. However, I just found this book to be so unorganized. Some chapters are literally only 1 page long. So for instance, this chapter right here, this is the entirety of the chapter. And then we move on to a blank page and a totally another topic. I hated that personally. Nothing was in chronological order. I couldn't make sense of anything. It just felt like we were bopping around a bunch of different topics. Maybe that's something that wouldn't bother you, but personally for me, really just didn't do it for me. Next, Rachel Hollis. I'm sorry, but I just don't think this woman has any credibility to be giving self-help advice. A lot of the things she was saying were contradictory, or she just had no basis for it. And there was a specific chapter whenever she was giving relationship advice about her emotionally manipulative husband that she ended up marrying, and I just couldn't take it anymore and I had to put it down. So enough on that because I don't want to be too mean. Let's talk about a few other just disappointments, meaning I did end up finishing these books, but they weren't good. Last year, I became obsessed with the Discovery of Witches series. It's called the All Souls series, but the first book is called A Discovery of Witches. We watch a romance between a witch and a vampire. A lot of historical references because she is a historian and he's lived for like 1500 years. So you kind of feel smart, even though it is a fantasy book at the end of the day. This series has 5 books in total. Unfortunately, as the books have come out, they've only decreased in ratings. So it was 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2.5 stars. Times Convert, book number 4, is the actual disappointment. Instead of following our normal 2 main characters that we followed throughout the entire series, we follow a different main character, Marcus. I just found his story so boring and so unnecessary, and it was so long. It was like over 500 pages of just nothingness. And I was like, oh my god, why does this book exist? Assure you, no one asked for a book solely on Marcus. I just really didn't do it for me. I felt it was so unnecessary. And I'm just really disappointed that the series has only gotten worse with time. I would, however, recommend if you're into paranormal romances, into witchy things, I would 100% recommend the show and at least book 1. Next disappointment is actually a book that I read in a reading vlog where I read books solely based on the cover. I loved this cover because you can see like 2 art thieves and they're in like burglar hats. I was like, okay, fun. It's like an art heist meets magic. This is so up my alley because I love like the Ocean's movies, White Collar, The Italian Job. I love thieves like outsmarting the bad guys. I don't know, I just think it's so fun. This book, however, was such a disappointment because our main character, Danny, is assigned a job to recover a specific piece of artwork that's currently being held in what they call like the Fort Knox of an art gallery. However, conveniently, Danny and her crew have minimal magical abilities, and whenever it comes time to complete the job, solely magic is what gets it done. Even though in the first half of the book, magic is like never referenced, it just felt like a complete cop-out by the author to have everything solved in a pretty little bow with magic instead of actually having to create a complex, cunning, plot twistability series of events to accomplish the job. I was so irritated at the end of reading this. If you want my full in-depth real-time thoughts, I would recommend watching that reading vlog. But yeah, a bit disappointed. Last disappointment, because I am starting to feel a little bit bad here. Controversial, but Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I know this book is super beloved by the book community, so I had extremely high hopes going into this. Did not like this book at all. Apparently this is the blueprint for childhood friends to lovers stories. We follow Macy and Elliot on a dual timeline where we watch them fall in love as kids in their teenage years. And then something happened. They don't speak for like 10 or 11 years, and then they rekindle their romance a decade later, fighting through the traumas of what happened, yada, yada, yada. What I didn't like about this book is I swear one of our characters just got trauma dumped on so hard. Anytime we needed any conflict within the book or any plot twist, it was like, let's just dump trauma on this one person. And I was just like, what? How does every worst thing imaginable keep happening to this one character? It was just so bizarre to me, so unrealistic. Like I just couldn't get behind that book at all. Moving right along, let's talk about some favorite authors. Now this is either debut authors or new to me. Luckily for me, I hadn't read too many books within these worlds, so a lot of these authors are new to me. For instance, Sarah J. Maas is new to me. Obviously she's a fave author, but a somewhat new author, new to the scene, I would give to Lauren Roberts, who's done the Powerless, Powerful, and Reckless series so far. She is a relatively new author. I'm pretty sure Powerless was released in 2023. She's She's super young. I think she's like 22 or 23. The fact that she can write this good, life is not fair. But also, thank you for writing. I want to keep reading your book. Other author I want to shout out, I haven't talked about them or their books yet this year, but I really do like their books. I want to talk about Ashley Poston. She's also a relatively new author. I'm pretty sure her first book came out in like 2022. Then this came out in 2023, this in 24. I really like her writing style. It's really cozy, it's really sweet. Honestly, it kind of gives Hallmark in a way, but in like the best way possible of they're kind of low stakes books, but they're just fun to read and they make you happy. So if you're ever looking for that, would highly recommend Ashley Poston. Another fun thing about her is all of her books have a magical realism element to it. And I just really like that because it makes her book feel a bit more real, but unique, because most romances don't have that magical element unless they're full-blown fantasy. This question, no surprise to anyone. Newest fictional crush, gotta give it to my two main men here. Rhysand. He is full-blown daddy husband energy, but like boyfriend, you just gotta love him energy. Kai Azar from Powerless. These are definitely men written by women because they're just too damn perfect, but keep writing books about them because I will eat it up every single time. Next question is books that made you cry. I'll be honest, it's really hard to make me cry. So I haven't full-blown sobbed at these books, but there was tears welling up and I was extremely emotionally wrecked at the end of them. Yeah. If you know, you know. Getting Adina's POV from the Powerless story, ouch. Yeah, ouch. This one hurts the heart, but I would still recommend. Next book is actually Beach Read. Like I mentioned in an earlier question, there are some very emotional subplots going on that revolve around her relationship with her dad. Whenever she reads her dad's letters, don't talk to me. That part got me. That part got me real good. Next question, weirdly enough, I don't have any of these books to show, but let's talk about some books that made me happy. I stopped talking about this book for a minute because I was talking about it too much, but The Fake Out. We already know, I love this book. This book was perfection. Their relationship, their banter made me so happy. I even signed up for Stephanie Archer's newsletter to get an extended epilogue of the couple because I just loved them that much. Another book that made me happy, The Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrandt. This was my first Ellen Hildebrandt book. Ellen Hildebrandt is the queen of beach reads. All of her books take place in Nantucket. This book was just so fun. She has a really unique writing style where everything takes place in third person and you get some like really outlandish POVs. For instance, like Nantucket Island itself has a POV, but you follow like 10 different characters in this book. It is wild. There's so much drama, reality TV in a book. So if you like The Real Housewives, read Hotel Nantucket. Last book I want to shout out, this is the book that I just finished today, and it made me so happy while reading it, was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This book is literally Bridgerton meets fairies. The relationship that occurs is so Simon and Daphne coded, which I ate up because they are the elite couple of the Bridgerton series. So if you like Bridgerton at all, I would 100% recommend. The magic in here was really simple and easy to understand. We follow a girl whose half of her soul was taken as a child by a fairy. So she's kind of a little bit different. Her and her cousin end up going to London for her cousin's coming out to society season. During her cousin trying to find a husband, she might find a man along the way. Oh my god. It was just so cute. I listened to this through an audiobook. The audiobook narrator was amazing. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Next question is new release that you haven't read yet but want to. I feel like the first half of 2024 was incredible with new releases. So I want to read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I have read a couple other books by Abby Jimenez, but I do know Just for the Summer is part of an interconnected standalone series where I should read Yours Truly first. I have Yours Truly on my physical TBR to read as soon as possible, but I want to make sure I read that before going to Just for the Summer. I also want to read Funny Story by Emily Hay. Henry. I want to get through more of Emily Henry's backlog before I get to Funny Story. Specifically, I definitely want to read Happy Place first, but soon thereafter want to get to Funny Story. Next, I want to read Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. This is an author that I haven't read anything from them before, but it seems like she kind of gives Emily Henry, Abby Jimenez vibes, kind of more emotionally dense romances, maybe with like a lit fic undertone. All of those books I would like to get to in the upcoming months because they all give a summery vibe. And then finally, this book literally just came out. It's the Blackbird Oracle, which is the 5th and final book in the All Souls series that I was talking about before. While I complained that the books have only gotten worse with time, I am so emotionally invested now that I do want to see how it finalizes and ends. So that will probably be a book that I read this fall/winter since it is a witchy, dark fantasy book. Okay guys, we're kind of coming up to the end. We have like 5 questions left. This one is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This was kind of hard to pick because so many of the anticipated releases came out in the first half of the year. But a book that I really want to get to this year, and it comes out in September, is The Wingman by Stephanie Archer. This is the continuation of the Vancouver Storm series following the fake out. I have so much anticipation for our next man on the team and cannot wait to read The Wingman. First book in that series was 3 stars. Second book was 5 stars. Maybe this one will be like a 4. If it's a 4 stars, I'm gonna be happy, but it's gonna be another hockey romance, most likely pretty dang spicy, and I can't wait. I think this question's really fun. What is the most beautiful book you've bought this year? First one that came to mind is a novel love story. The colors on this book are just so fun, so inviting. I feel like Ashley Poston really killed this one because in a bookstore, if you were to see this on the shelf, I mean, this just draws your eye to it. Love it so much. Another beautiful book that looked literally completely opposite to that is One for My Enemy. Typically, I am like a very clean lines, clean aesthetic type of girl, so this really does speak to my soul. I just think this looks so classic, but also within this book, it's broken up by acts, mirroring the Romeo and Juliet play. And at the start of each act, we get these really moody pictures of the characters. Just think it's so stunning. Absolutely love. It's another one. I just thought it was unique and kind of set the book apart, and I thought it was very, very beautiful. Some other books that I wanted to shout out in this category. I don't actually physically own these. First book is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. This audiobook is phenomenal. It's narrated by Meryl Streep, detailing an old Hollywood actress, telling the story of her career and her first love to her daughters. Incredible, but also this cover is so stunning. Next, another book in that reading vlog where I read books solely based on the cover. I think this cover is so beautiful. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, I mean, stunning cover. Every single book in this series has an absolutely beautiful, ornate, detailed cover. Next question is books that I want to read by the end of the year. This question is a little bit silly because the answer is like all of them. All of the books that I own on my TBR, all of the books that I don't own yet, the books that I mentioned earlier about new releases I haven't gotten to. I want to read everything. Specifically on my TBR, I really want to read the Twilight series because I grew up on the Twilight movies. I was such an Edward Cullen girly. Went to the midnight movie premieres and all. For some reason, I've never read the books. Next, I also have, and it's just been sitting there egging me on, is the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I've heard amazing things about this series. It's like a YA mystery because it takes a group of teenagers who all have special natural abilities, places them in this house, and they work for the FBI solving crimes. I don't know, sounds fun, sounds unique, sounds different, and I've heard that the books are super quick reads. And next, a book that I desperately want to read is Six of Crows. Why I haven't read it yet is I really do want to read the prequel series. I think it's called Shadow and Bone. I do really want to read that series first. So to read Six of Crows, I have to read 3 other books before I get to it. That's quite a lot to sign up for just to get to 1 book, so it hasn't been top of priority, but I do really want to read Six of Crows by the end of this year. Okay guys, we got to keep these short and sweet. We have 3 questions left. Next question is, do you think you'll reach your reading goal? I would have to assume yes. My original reading goal set on Goodreads was 50 books. I've already achieved it, so I think I'm actually going to edit my reading goal to 100 books, and I do still think I will accomplish that because, like mentioned, I didn't start reading until the beginning of March, so I was able to read 50 in 4.5 months, and then I have just under 6 months to read another 50. I kind of just need to read like 10 books a month, and that will definitely be doable. So you heard it here first. We are adjusting our reading goal to 100 books. Any new goals for the rest of the year? One goal that I definitely want to do is utilizing my library. I can completely understand that the book community probably does have an overconsumption of books. So I really only want to buy books that are from authors that I love, that I anticipate being really highly rated, or maybe are like important series to have, such as like the Throne of Glass series I really want to have as a physical copy. But I definitely want to be able to use like the Libby app more so that I can get digital downloads of books and audiobooks, also way cheaper. Mainly just don't want to be part of the problem of overconsumption. Want to make sure that I'm actually being smart with my book purchases. Last question of the video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around if you've made it to this last question. Our last question is, what are some 5-star predictions I have for the rest of this year? I'm gonna call that Divine Rivals is gonna be a 5 stars. This is a fantasy of rivaling journalists taking place in like the wartime. I don't really know. I know there's letters involved, and like literally everyone says that their love story is the most heartwarming, endearing thing that you're ever gonna read. I can't wait. Next 5-star prediction that I hope I'm getting to really soon, because again, I've mentioned this before, it seems very summery. Happy Place by Emily Henry. It seems like when people liked Beach Read, they also really like Happy Place. I loved Beach Read, 5-star read. I anticipate the same for Happy Place, and I know that the main character, there's a lot of discussions about her anxiety, which I struggle with myself, and I've heard that she's extremely relatable. And then finally, for a fantasy pick, I'm predicting Fourth Wing. I do really want to read that book. It is so highly rated on Goodreads, it's insane. I have heard that the second book in the series is kind of a letdown. I'm gonna look past that because I just heard that Fourth Wing is absolutely iconic. I have heard plenty of people talk about it. You guys probably all know about Fourth Wing, but I know there's dragons involved. It's a school setting, and it's like super cutthroat. It's like if you don't graduate, you're dead. So it's either survive or die, and that they have like a pet dragon. So I'm excited about that because if you know anything about dragons, Bat Boys, loved it. Okay guys, we have reached the end of this video. I am all talked out. Shout out if you made it this far. Really appreciate you. If you have any books that you think I need to read by the end of this year, let me know. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. It really does mean a lot to me. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.